Amazing. Well, I'm going to share my screen as we have some people wondering if they've landed in the right spot. So I'll make sure that they know they are. But welcome. Thank you so much for coming with us, joining us today. There's my, I got to get my little, there we go. So we have some educators joining us now from LKDSB. So you have landed in the right spot to the music learning at LKDSB. But we have some guests today with us from the Ontario Music Education Association. So passionate music people, and I'm going to say experts too.
Yeah.
I would say passionate about music first.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. So we'll wait until 4:30. We got a couple more minutes to let people come in, but we really appreciate you joining us today. And educators out there from LKDSB, we took part in this on Monday. We made some music using rhythm and beat, and we were, if you want to turn on your camera when it's time to show. Lisa, I never asked you, are you going to have us perform today during our session?
Sure. I'm sure we can do stuff.
Yeah. So
that'll be great.
So maybe we'll prompt people to turn on their cameras, but just like we always do here at LKDSB, if you have something you wish to share, we have the chat button. I'll be monitoring the chat for us today. And so if you, I think that's been turned on by Rod, who's working things in the background for us. So if you have questions, you can put them in there and we'll address that. But I'm just so happy people chose to be with us today on this beautiful sunny day in between our two big lakes, Lake Huron and Lake Erie. We're very fortunate to have that as our bookends of our county.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I see it's 4:30, so I'd like to welcome everyone to our music session today. And I'm Pam Gallant. I'll be just kind of acting as the host. We're going to let these lovely individuals share with us their content, and I'll be monitoring the chat. But before we get going, we'd like to do our land acknowledgement from our area. We acknowledge that the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi inhabited these lands at the time of the written treaties, these being Treaty 2, 7, and 29. These indigenous nations, known as the Nishbeg and the Lenape, agreed through their ancestral languages to the mutual sharing of the land with obligation and the responsibilities to the environment. Today, these responsibilities and obligations extend to all people. So today we're welcoming Lisa Snow and Jane, I'm going to say Wamsley. Yeah, we were talking names earlier. And you're a president. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name when you came in, but you're a Sarnia person.
Yes, go for it, Caroline. Go for the welcome. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. But thank you, Pam. Yes, my name's Carolyn Lewis. And yeah, I just wanted to briefly just say hi to everybody and thank you. I bring greetings from the OMEA board, and I wanted to thank all of you at Lambton Kent for reaching out to OMEA to provide this opportunity for you. We're working really hard in the background on behalf of all the members with all facets of our organization. We're really wanting to keep music education alive and well in Ontario schools. So I really want to thank Jane and Lisa for being here with you today and doing these sessions. It's lots of work there too. So thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Jane. I know that you will love everything they have to share. You'll get lots of ideas. So I don't want to take up a lot of time. I just wanted to say thank you for having us.
I would echo that. Monday, we had a very fast-paced, lots of content that we can actually put into our classrooms right away with our focus on grades kindergarten to grade 2. And today we've kind of got that band of 3 to 5, but I'm sure there's a little bit of, you know, we can do it in grade 2 and maybe in grade 6 as well. And then tomorrow we'll rejoin with new content with a focus on 6, 7, and 8 classes. And LKDSB teachers out there, they always want to know, will we be sharing the resources? And the answer is yes to that. the OMEA has been very generous with us about sharing resources with us. Some of it on your site is free, and Jane's going to tell us a little bit more about that. And some of it's with a membership, but they've cracked open a little bit and given us access. So thank you very much for that. And you're probably wondering where you'll get that. There may be some things shared in the chat today, but in the next few days, we'll have a blog post up on our LK Elementary program blog, where it will be able to see the recordings of these sessions. So we did record the kindergarten to grade 2 session. Rod's super quick with that. He's working in the background for us again today. And so that's already available on the YouTube LKDSB Zoom PD. And so we'll have a blog post up and ready for teachers to see. And so it'll be all one-stop shopping for all the resources that you have. And then I'll pass it over to Jane. I think you had a few things you wanted.
Yes, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to share my little PowerPoint there.
Yeah.
And let's see if I can make this happen. Oh man, it actually
There you go. We were all talking about, we all know how to do it, but we just on different platforms, everything hides for us.
It does. It just looks differently every place I go. So I just want to share with you a few of these slides. I'm still trying to grab the right thing. Slideshow. Here we go. And that is Ontario Music Educators Association. It has been around for 100 years in Ontario. These are the kinds of things, and Lisa can have this PowerPoint if you would like to learn more about OMEA. We're really happy to have you as members and come to our conferences, and I'll just show you a little bit about that. All kinds of people across the province belong to Ontario Music Educators, right from early childhood educators through university and retired people. Even those of us, we continue on and we advocate for music education, and doing workshops is where we are really excited to be able to be. As a member, there are several publications that you get. That's a little interesting part of being a member and keeps us informed, and we get new ideas in these publications. I went through all of what is on this page, and I just lightened 3 that were definitely for high school only, and the rest are all elementary resources that would be available to you on our website. So we welcome you to go there at any time. It will be on documents that you have. One of the things that I know that people the other day really enjoyed is this called our Scope and Sequence. And we have put it together. It is all of the curriculum fundamental concepts and elements from grade 1 through to grade 8. And for example, I'm looking right here at tempo, fast and slow tempo. We introduce it in grade 1, but we work with it all the way through to grade 8. So all of the concepts are listed here. Every single one that is taught from kindergarten to grade 1. And you can see by this, I love this part, you can really see every year under timbre, under sound sources, every year something new is added on. But the rest, we continue to work with it. So one of the things that right now with the COVID time, so many people are working with non-pitched percussion instruments or with found sounds like their pencils, the desks, body percussion. That's all listed right in here, and this is part of our curriculum. So we have our conference coming up again this year. It's in Niagara Falls in November. It is, wouldn't
that be lovely to go to Niagara Falls for a
yes. When we're all hoping, have a little holiday while you come and to our conference. And this question was asked the other day. There are always lots of sessions for classroom teachers and then for music specialists. So you choose an area that you would like to learn about. And there are 6 sessions in the 2 days, a wonderful live concert, and time to talk together and to meet together. It might be online. We don't know yet. We'll have to, everything is maybe.
Yeah.
So
Good to have a little bit of hope, though.
we do. And we work with the Ministry of Education closely. And so that's where we are advocating and looking at programming all of the things. So there are some things we'd love to have you as members. But even if you're not a member, there are a ton of resources on the front of our website for you to share with your students in Ontario. So this is us.
And I know you've been working hard at the equity piece, and like as all of us are being more mindful of that, so we'll be keeping our eye out for that kind of resource as well.
Thank you very much. So I will stop sharing my screen if that's possible for me.
Well done, Jane.
You can kick me out too. Where is my, see, this is where I've lost my way. I've lost my button.
Look at the top of the screen for that button.
The top of the screen now. It was at the bottom before. Ah, I was hiding it. So sorry. There we go. And it's over to Lisa.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Welcome to Lambton, Kent.
Thank you. Thank you. So, hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Snow. I am a music specialist here in London, Ontario, not far from where you guys are. But I spent a majority of my career as a classroom teacher, and a lot of what I do in music, I often try to think about how what we do in music can connect with other things. So I hope that if you are a classroom teacher, you'll be able to find some things that support other areas of your program as well as supporting music. We're going to start today with, I know Jane loves this. It's called Secret Chicken. So a big focus because of the pandemic is rhythm in music. We really aren't able to sing. The requirements for singing in certain boards, I know in my board, the requirement for singing has so many restrictions that for younger kids, it's just not worth it for us to do it right now.
One of the things our teachers have been sharing with us, our rules are you can sing masked and outside.
Yes.
But then, so teachers have often shared too about that straining on their own voices to do that.
Yes. And here we're masked outside, 6 feet apart, everyone facing forward. The teacher has to be 9 feet from the front row of the singers. And normally I do a lot of singing with my younger students. And I said, a 6-year-old is not going to benefit from that. But 6-year-olds' voices don't really carry that far when they're singing. So singing has not been part of what I've done this year in my music program. Rhythm has been a huge part of it. And the other piece for me too is knowing how unsure things were. I really like to make sure that whatever I plan for my students can transition from face-to-face and online fairly smoothly. And that's something that I think is important this year as well, that we don't create things that can only be done in person or only done online. It's nice if you can be flexible. So, Secret Chicken. Secret Chicken is a rhythmic dictation tool. It doesn't have to be a chicken. The original is a chicken. There's an American teacher, and I'll share her website with you in a moment, who created the idea of Secret Chicken, and she's wonderful. I contacted her and thanked her, and I've been working long-term on creating my own sort of Secret Chicken stuff. And with Secret Chicken, all you're doing is simple rhythms, and the children write them down, and then they decode them to find out a secret word. So I'm not sure how comfortable you guys are with writing rhythms, but I'd like to try it with you. I've only recently introduced Secret Chicken to my grade 3 students. They love it, and we're doing it as a whole class so that they understand how to do it before they start doing it individually. My 4s and 5s have been doing it most of the year, and same thing, they love Secret Chicken. When this comes out, they're all over it, but their rhythm skills have gotten really, really good. So it just uses ta, which is 1 beat, TT, which is 2 sounds on 1 beat, and rest. So if you know how to write rhythm, I'm going to do a couple rhythms for you. Just jot them down if you can. And then I'm going to share the decoder sheet with you. See if you can figure out my mystery word. Okay. Here's the first letter. I'll do it again. So that's the first letter. Here's the second letter. Shh. I'll do it again. Shh. Here's the third letter. And here it is again. Here's the fourth letter. There are 5 letters in total. Here's the fourth letter. That one's a little harder. I'll do it again. And here's our last letter. Shh. And here it is again. Shh. So with my grade 3s, we actually initially wrote those rhythms down together from the beginning. The very first classes, we would write it down and say, which one is this? Today, when we did it, they wrote it down themselves, but then we shared on the screen. And once we had all the rhythms, I shared the decoder sheet with them. Oh, wait, where am I? Oh, wait, where's my Zoom? There it is. Sorry. Here it is. Sorry, it's very strange. Okay. I think it's this. There we go. So this is the decoder sheet. And this is from Melissa's website. And I'll share a little bit more of it with you. This is free to download. Once you know what your rhythms are, you look at the letters that match the rhythm. So my first rhythm was T, T, ta, T, 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 and that's the letter L. And then you figure out what the word is. Did anyone figure out what the word is? So our first rhythm was T, T, ta, T, 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 which is L. Oh, yes, Valerie, thank you. You've got it. Our second rhythm was ta, rest, T, T, ta, which is U. Our third rhythm, ta, ta, T, T, ta, which was C. Our fourth rhythm, T, 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 ta, T, T, which is K. And our last rhythm was T, T, rest, ta, T, T. Pam. So it spells the word lucky. So right now with my grade 3s, we are learning how to do this, but the long-term goal for it, or the goal is eventually they will be writing the rhythms that they hear, and then they give the code letter. And I chose lucky because it was St. Patrick's Day and they were talking about, you know, luck of the Irish and all that kind of stuff. So it's been very successful with my juniors, and my 3s love it. My 2s, it's not something I think they're really ready for, and so we don't use it very often. But part of it is just the chicken is fun. So I discovered this actually last spring when we were in lockdown, the original one, and looking for something to share with my students because we weren't required to do any music, but we should, you know, have something. I loved what she created. So not only does she have this is how it started. She has videos, and this is how it began. And I offered these to grade 5 to 8 last spring, and it was such an amazing response. So Secret Chicken is a master criminal. He is hiding somewhere in the world. So she uses much longer words because she's using different cities and countries. And for a while, she was even taking requests from kids who would write in and say, can you make Secret Chicken go here? So she has her first season here. It's also on YouTube. And then she started a second season. But for this one, the first season, she did one every week. And she said it was overwhelming. And I'm making some of my own videos to tie into Canadian locations. And it's a lot of work. She started a second season, but I think she said she's doing one a month. But already you have 10. You have 10 that you can use if you are not going to do it yourself. As I said, the kids love it. They really respond, and they're doing rhythmic dictation. The rhythms are really simple: ta, ti, ti, rest. And that's a great place to start with rhythmic dictation. With my older students, the rhythms they're doing are more complex. And so giving them opportunities to choose the word and demonstrate the rhythm is a great way to get them involved. You can also have them work collaboratively to create their own decoder sheet using other rhythms, more complicated rhythms that they already know. There's so many things you can do with it. It's a lot of fun. So that's Secret Chicken. Any questions about Secret Chicken? Okay. So I put together like a little sheet just to look at some of the things to talk about. And Jane and I had talked about what we thought might be helpful or useful, and what you might find you could use like jump into really quickly and be able to use.
Lisa, I have a question connected to Monday session. Was share with us the notation of going like horizontal with the beat, like the whole note, the half note, that kind of piece. So that was my notation today. So I was going, so rather than the actual ta, ta, ti, ti, ta, and like quarter notes and half eighths notes going along there. So I'm doing
long and short.
Long and short, yes. So I can see how this could be extended, like lower grades, and then as that notation advances.
And in fact, with my students, when they start out with this, I actually sometimes have them echo clap back what the chicken squeaks out so that they can physically feel where those longs and shorts are too.
Yeah. So lots of people, I'm trying this tomorrow, but what if we don't have a rubber chicken? Do you have any other recommendations?
Anything, any squeaky toy. If you have a dog, you have squeaky toys. If you have like some babies have like little squeaky toys, it doesn't have to be a chicken. I think it's just sort of the oddness of it.
Yes.
And I think any animal, like anything that squeaks or makes a sound, anything. And I mean, the chicken is a lot of fun, and it's sort of what it's all around. But I think you could use anything. And in fact, if I didn't have a chicken, I mean, you could, if you wanted to keep it really simple, you could just like click pens, you could knock on a table, anything like that. But I think finding something that was odd or unusual, that seems to be what really captures the kid's attention, because it's the unexpected. They actually form a personal bond with the chicken. They become quite enamored with it. And they seem to feel like it's their friend or there's something. So, anything that makes the noise will work.
May I just add that I also think that it's the secret part of it. It's that decoding that for some kids, it's just, they get so excited. Yes. And you have to actually, I know with my grandkids, I have to say, don't say it out loud, keep it secret. And that has become, it's like a game, and it has become a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
and
we've introduced it.
It's what we call like gamifying it, right? Where there's more than just, I mean, it's rhythmic dictation. You're getting them to write rhythms. You're getting them to listen to a rhythm and write down what they hear, which can be tedious. But, this doesn't make it tedious. It makes it something much more. Okay. Since we're talking about rhythm, I'd like to talk about another rhythm thing. This is something I have used from grade 2 to grade 8. It's called Musicators. I think very highly of it. It is a rhythm platform, or not just rhythm. It is a music platform. It is free for teachers, but you have to register, and it's worth it. You just can register through Google, like your Google account, if that's part of your school stuff. It's free for students, but they don't register. They don't collect student data, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. And the reason I like it so much is because I liked it originally because, I could share rhythms with the kids and they can manipulate it on the smartboard. But I started to realize, especially for some of our students that maybe came from another school board, or we have kids that come from different countries that come to our school that may not have had any music background. The way it is set up ensures their success. So this is one of the very simple exercises that I've done with a lot of different students. I'm actually going to talk about this tomorrow as well. And these are the rhythm cards. The students listen. And you can see each beat is highlighted. And even students that don't know the names of these rhythms, they know that there's 2 sounds on that beat and there's 4 sounds on that beat. So they can start to really distinguish what they're hearing. I use this in person on the smartboard, and then students will write down the rhythms. They can see what they look like, and then they just need to move them into place. There we go. And then we can submit it, and it tells us if it's correct. There's a lot of different exercises in here, but this is something that I have found really helpful. And one of the reasons I really like it is because I can use it in class in person, which is how I started using it. But when we went remote after the winter break, I could assign this to students as homework. I assign it to their class, they just put their name in, but then there's a section where I can go in as a teacher and I can see how they did. So it shows me the results. It shows me who had to try multiple times, who got it the first time. So it makes it really easy in that sense, if you're working remotely, to get some assessment from the students on their rhythm and their understanding of rhythm. This really helped my students, again, especially those that are new to music and new to reading and writing rhythms. It helped sort of step them into it so that we started by doing this together as a class, and eventually they started doing it independently, and then we check as a class. Again, my students are really good with rhythmic dictation now, and there's more exercises of different levels. Like, I consider this the easier level because it's broken down beat by beat, but there's more for more challenges or more like students who need greater challenges. And another thing that I just found out, because I was talking to the makers, the people who make this, I've actually written them a few times and said, this is something I'm wondering about. They've made changes to make it more efficient, to make it more responsive, but also they're really great at responding. And I asked about, what if I made something and I wanted to share it with teachers so they could have it? And they explained to me how to do that so that people didn't have to make everything from scratch. They could access existing files and use them themselves. Any questions about this platform? Okay.
I think we have a lot of iPads in our school system and Chromebooks. So we have like the capacity to handle things like this. And then we have lots of people using Seesaw too. So this would be a great shareable thing with their.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's really, I love this. I love this. I was so glad to have discovered it. Okay, so that's like a lot of rhythm stuff. That's like just one chunk of what you could do. So one of the lessons that were in the OMIA set of lessons, it comes from a grade 3 lesson, a set of or unit called Going Green, was this lesson Drip Drop Splash. And Jane and I had talked about it, and we thought this might be a great example of what you could do with rhythm with your class. It's geared for grade 3, but I mean, I think it could be used for 3, 4, or 5. It's one lesson. The Drip Drop Splash is one lesson in the unit, but I've broken it up. And actually, as I look at it, I think I would probably break it up over 3 classes and do other things as well. And it starts with a rhyme. Dr. Foster went to Gloucester in a shower of rain. He stepped in a puddle right up to his middle, and he never went back again. Sorry, I know it a little differently than it's written. I apologize. So that's a rhyme that you would say to your class, and then you would say, what were the different ways I made my voice expressive? So what did I do? I'm going to read it again. Maybe you can pop in the comments what you're noticing. Dr. Foster went to Gloucester in a shower of rain. He stepped in a puddle right up to his middle, and he never went back again. Yeah? Anything else you notice? How did I make my voice expressive? What did I do? Yeah. Thank you. And you can see this is not, if you're not comfortable singing, you don't need to be comfortable singing. This is spoken word. So with this, you would teach the students the rhyme. And once you've taught the students the rhyme, the next step is they're going to walk around the room. Now, this taps into being able to move on to the beat while they are saying the rhyme, which is something that we want to reinforce every year. We always want to work on the pulse or the beat of the music. And as they walk around saying the rhyme, when they stop, the original lesson asks that they stop and they do a hand game with their partner or a body percussion with their partner. I would say, when I do this with my class, we will do this, but we won't touch hands. So it's pat, clap, up, clap, pat, clap, snap. So it would be, Dr. Foster went to Gloucester in a shower of rain. He stepped in a puddle right up to his middle and never went back again. So we're working a little bit with body percussion here and the sort of a rhythmic ostinato. Like, it's not a lot of different rhythm, but it's like an ostinato pattern with the body. And all these are things that we are looking at as the students are learning music, and it's sort of building foundation skills for them. And you get them to do that a few times, move around and play. And then we ask, what different sounds did we make with our bodies? What are those different sounds? So what are the different things we did? What are the different sounds that you could make with your body when you're patting, clapping, snapping, and not patting? All those sounds. And this can open up a discussion about body percussion. There it is. What other sounds can you create? What other things can you do with your body so that you're making different sounds? And then asking them, what is this element we are learning about? And this is timbre, the quality of sound, how certain things sound a certain way. And I have noticed this year, it seems like a lot of lessons that I'm doing talk about timbre a lot, even more, I think, than in past years, because we're doing so much percussion, but all the percussion sounds slightly different. So then they're going to create a body percussion pattern, similar to what they did walking around the room, but their own. And there's success criteria there. So the teachers can observe their students, and they can use the success criteria for assessment if they need to. Working collaboratively, use at least 3 different body percussion sounds, and then perform it while saying the Dr. Foster rhyme. So this in the lesson is just the beginning section. But I look at this and I think I would like to spend a whole class on this. I would probably spend even more time on this because I'd want them to really sort of embrace the idea of creating with body percussion. The second lesson involves a new rhyme. Drip, drop, get out of the rain. Open up umbrella while running down the lane. Drip, drop, I can't get wet. Have to find my rain gear and then I'll be set. The second part of the song is rain, rain, go away, come again another day. Little Pam wants to play. Whenever I sing that song, I use everybody's names in the class, but we're not singing right now. So I would just chant it. And here's the rhythm for it. This rhythm is mostly what would be appropriate for grade 3. The only thing that my students don't do in grade 3 are these dotted rhythms. So if we were to analyze the rhythm, I would actually cheat a little bit and make that a straight TT and then present the rhythm to them, because I really in grade 3 want to emphasize 16th notes. And I know with my students right now, we already know tiri tiri or ticka ticka. We're just on the brink of identifying tiri T and T tiri. So that's what I really want to focus on. So I kind of cheat with the way I'd write this so that we could really utilize the song for those rhythms. And then we're talking about the expressive tools of dynamics. And once we're to start talking about that, now we can talk about how loud or soft do each of these seem. So rubbing your fingertips with your thumbs, rubbing your hands together, patting your thighs, snapping your fingers, clapping your hands, stomping your feet and clapping your hands. And then you can talk about going from soft piano to loud forte and everything in between. And you can talk about how they compare to each other, because the truth with dynamics are comparative. You know, we can say this is soft, or we can say this is soft, but is this softer, right? So we want to talk about how they compare. And then we make a rainstorm. I'm sure if anyone has ever been to summer camp, you've done this. So it's where you sit in a circle and you do the rainstorm. So this is a rainstorm soundscape where we're imitating nature's sound through our own body percussion. And the success criteria for this was basically, I can do it. I'm going to do it with my class, but also being able to pass the sound. And maybe these aren't expectations in the music curriculum, but these are success criteria which let the kids know what is expected of them so that we as a class can be successful in creating this soundscape. And if you're a classroom teacher, this is wonderful because you can start looking at the learning skills and start talking about, you know, collaborative work and how well they are able to do that in different situations. So then we start talking about the rainstorm, asking these questions. How does the change in dynamic change the soundscape? So it's not just, hey, we did it. It's let's look back. Let's think about it. How did it change? How did those dynamics affect it? What is the terminology we use for getting louder and getting softer? And what do those look like? So that's kind of like another chunk. And I look at that and I think that would be a whole lesson. Like that would be a really nice thing to work on with my students in one class. I don't want to squish it all in. I want to take time to really enjoy it. And I have done this rain soundscape with students before, and they really enjoy doing it. And especially the kids that already know it and have done it, they're so excited to share it with a new group of people. And we talk about timbre, because we're talking about the timbre of the different sounds we can make. Oh, I haven't. So the third part of this lesson is listening to a version of Africa. And there's two versions available. I have them both in this. The first one's by Perpetuum Jazzile, and you're still getting them to think about timbre. So we're still connecting through all these different activities. We're thinking about timbre. We're thinking about expressive tools. We're thinking about mood and how all those things contribute to the mood, and allow them to listen. I bet some of you have heard this one before. We're not going to listen to it at all right now. There's the second one. And then after they've listened and they've had time to reflect on all these questions, giving them an opportunity to voice their ideas. And I don't know if you've done Mingle to Music before. I know when I was teaching classroom, I used it a lot. It was so fun, where you have questions or you have vocabulary or whatever you're doing that you want kids to discuss. And when the music plays, they mingle. When the music stops, they find a partner to share with. So I've included a sound button up here. I don't even remember what song it is. Oh, it's the song we just listened to. I couldn't remember. So when the music is playing, they mingle, you stop the music, and they find a partner. They choose one question. One student chooses one question, another student chooses another question, and they answer that question and share their answer with their partner. And then they go again. And the nice thing about this is, especially for students that maybe are not as reflective, they'll hear different answers and they'll start to take in the different ideas that they could use to answer those questions. Gives kids an opportunity to really sort of figure out what they would use to answer that question, what answers they like, what ideas they like. And then when you're finished this, then you can regroup as a class and have a richer discussion about timbre and how it is used and how the mood is created in the piece of music. So, yes, Jane.
I have a little question. So right now, could you do it in your little cohort bubbles? Could they just choose partners within those bubbles that they have? I'm not sure if every school does it.
I'm not sure what you mean by bubbles, but in our board, classes are cohorted. So
it's a whole class.
Yeah, so the grade 3. I mean, we have rules about, because I also teach dance and drama, so there's a lot of interactiveness. And we talk about when we move around the room, you keep a reasonable distance. We're all masked. We're not grabbing people. We're not bumping into people. So this is about moving around, stopping, finding a partner, and having a conversation.
Mm-hmm. This might work effectively outside too, like listen, bring the music outside and on a non-windy day.
But yeah, and it's nice. The kids are out.
Layers of comfort level, but moving within the classroom and size classes matter and that sort of thing. So,
and it depends on how many kids you have, how big your room is. It's just, I know with my students, I am comfortable with it and I have used that successfully, but it is also something that you have to make the decision about in your own classroom with your own students. And
we are going to get out of this eventually, and this is a great one to use and explore, and I can't wait for the days where we can move quickly and closely together in the classroom.
I know. And I mean, this is only the first lesson in a unit called Going Green on the OMEA resources, in the OMEA resources. So if you like that, that's just the first lesson. So the great thing about it is you can go through and sort of say, what can I use from this? Now, some of the lessons in that unit might involve singing, so you might choose not to do it or choose to do it a different way. But there's a lot of meat on those bones. You know, you can really build a lot of lessons or use a lot of those lessons to develop like a really rich experience for your students.
And this one is free. It's on the front of our website, so everybody can take that unit down from the OMEA website.
So other things that I'd like to share are I'll talk just briefly about body percussion. Body percussion is something that a lot of classes are embracing because it's very accessible. You need no instruments, you are the instrument. And in the fall, I did body percussion with my grade 4s, and it was very successful. There's a lot of resources out there, and our final goal was to create a composition using body percussion. So there's lots of things out there that you can use to demonstrate. There's games that you can play to get them starting to think about how to use their bodies as percussive instruments, and it's a lot of fun. I know I'm jumping through this. One of the biggest things for my classes was that, yes, we're doing the pat, the stomp, the snap, and all those different sounds, but we learned a groove or a percussion pattern that sounded really cool, and it became the core of our compositions, because that was our long-term goal, was to create our own compositions. And it took them a while to get it, but now they all get it, and they still walk around. They walk around the playground, sorry. They walk around the playground like doing this body percussive thing. So it's just, you pat your chest, you snap, you clap, pat, pat, clap, snap, clap. It does have to have more groove. It's like, and I included one of my all our grade 4 classes, they had to create, I wonder if I can share this. Oh yeah, I can. No, can I? Hold on. I'm going to share it with you. Here it is. It's a smartboard file. It's not online. So I found online some free resources. These are not OMEA. But we use this sort of to get an experience of how we could layer sounds. And then we started creating. I just had these little icons, and we would drag them around and say, what will we do here? What will we do there? And then they started to create their rhythms and talk about how we would layer and how we would work as an ensemble. And it was a great experience. And they were so proud of it. They were so excited. This is one of the grade 4 classes. They sort of were in their rows, and the first row would start, then the second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row, and then first row, they kind of layered it the way we did with the Rainstorm, one group at a time. And then we did our groove, and then we chanted, and then we did our groove. So if you'll indulge me, I'll play you what those grade 4s created. Not the video, just the recording. So this is what they developed with a little bit of guidance from me. They're very proud of it. And I mean, it took forever to record them because they were so excited, but it was wonderful. And then we made videos, and it was a lot of fun, and it was a wonderful project for them. They were very focused. They were very excited. And it actually wasn't that hard to do. I think the thing that was most important is that we did it little steps at a time. Like we took a little bit of time to how can we just read rhythms in different parts of our bodies? Let's take a little time to learn that big groove, and then started putting it together. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Lisa, I'm glad you brought up that about go slow, little chunks, because that's one of the things that we're dealing with in our schools is that we need to slow down because we're farther apart, and it's been good for us, I think, in many ways, but it's nice to hear that this takes practice and time.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, that recording was recorded at the beginning of December. We started sort of putting the song together, and I only see my music classes once a week. That's what my schedule is right now. So we started putting it together maybe 3 weeks ahead of time. And we'd been working since the beginning of September, or like the second or third week of September, just what is body percussion. There's lots of great play along videos, and we used a lot of those. We used composed music, we used our own music, but especially for younger kids, sometimes it's even a coordination issue.
Yeah, I would like, well, the fact that they're creating something, like often think about music, creating and performing. I'm going to sing in a choir, or, at the Christmas the holiday pageant, that sort of thing. But this is creating and performing in a different way. And I think there's going to be intense joy when, the kid actually learns how to snap their fingers. That's a big day.
It is. It sounds so small. There's a lot of kids that are like, I can't snap. And we actually talked about what is the physical, what is actually happening on your hand. And it was like an epiphany for some of them. They thought there was some sort of magic thing that happened. And it was like, no, it's your finger hitting your hand. Like, that's what it is. So the last thing I'm going to share with you right now is what I did this with my grade 5s in the fall, and I'm actually about to start doing this with my grade 4s. Like, I'm kind of shifting units, and that is cup drumming. So there's a lot with drumming because it's rhythms. And my grade 5s are actually going to be starting, like, we just happen to have a full class set of drumsticks, and I have drum pads that I used from cutting up like a dollar store yoga mat. So they're going to be doing that. But I wanted my grade 4s, in the fall, I wanted my grade 5s to have experience with drumming and rhythmic experience, and now my grade 4s. And when I discovered cup drumming, I was so excited. So basically, everyone got one of these. They all decorated it, wrote their names on it. They loved it. My original idea was they would keep these in their desks, but these are a little large to keep in the desks. So the classroom teachers dealt with it quite well. At the beginning of class, these were stacked on a counter. At the beginning of class, someone would sanitize their hands, walk and hand them out. And then at the end of class, for one class, they ate lunch right after music. So when they went to wash their hands, they would just take their cup up and stack it. So it became a stack. For the other class, one person sanitized their hands, collected them and stacked them on the side. So there wasn't a lot of handling of these other than the person that owned it. So with cup drumming, you're using this as your percussion instrument. And again, this is something that if we transition to remote learning again, they could just use a plastic cup at home. It doesn't have to be this cup. So the first thing we explore is what are all the different sounds you can make using this cup, and not singing into it, but just using this cup. So the kids spend a lot of time sort of experimenting and coming up with all different ways they can make sounds on the cup. And we sort of take time, we record it, we all try the different sounds, and it's a really great exploration for them. Then we talk about how are we going to notate. Now, these symbols, my original cup drumming stuff had letters. And when you do cup drumming, you're like, I'm not going to remember all those symbols. I don't think it's hard. But, if you feel that way, you can use letters. So it just became, the letters didn't really correspond with what was happening all the time, because F was for tapping it on the desk, because originally it was tapping it on the floor. So one thing we had the kids do was where they, imagine that's your tabletop, they would just tap the open end on their desktop and made one sound. And then the other one was tapping the closed end with their fingers. And that's how we started. A slide where they just slid it across the desk. or hitting the desk itself. These are all things that we sort of try to use in different musical pieces. And then we started with really simple rhythms. Like this is just on the beat. So it would be. It might feel really simple, but for some kids, it's not. It's a coordination issue. But this is a simple rhythm. Most of them are fairly successful with this. And then we would use this as our starting point, eventually became our warm up. And then as we went, I would actually assess, like after maybe 3 weeks, I'd say like, okay, let's just play this. And after 3 weeks of doing this very easy rhythm, if you have a student who is not able to do it correctly, you know that they're falling below an expectation of being able to read the notation, being able to play the instrument. It gives you an idea. And then slightly different. This time it has a half note, and that's when they slide it. So there's different sort of rhythmic patterns and different ways to interpret it. I'm just going to flip through these, and they kind of increase in difficulty, different patterns, different actions that they have to sort of adapt to. But again, you're doing it a little bit at a time. So you're not doing it all at once. So they kind of build their repertoire and build their knowledge. The cup drumming play along songs, so there's a great YouTube channel called Musician, and they have a lot of rhythmic play alongs and boom whacker play alongs that I use a lot with my classes. For the boom whackers, it's more like, let's have fun. But for the percussion, we have actually used it to sort of do performance pieces, to practice. It looks a bit different. And I know when Jane and I were talking about it, we were talking about the symbols are going to be different. My kids had no issue with it. So the William Tell one was a big performance piece. And so when I put it together, I broke it down. So this is a screenshot from the video. So these are clips of different patterns in the video. So you just adjust what each symbol means, because they just use symbols. And I have made the decision about this after watching the sort of the piece. So these are our little practice patterns. This one is like a big slide across. I know you see an apple there, and you'll see why in a second. There's a little worm. So this is actually quite challenging. The original speed is quite fast. And the kids were thrilled. They couldn't believe it. If you have a cup, we're going to try it. We're not going to try the whole thing, but I'll just give you a taste of it. Are you ready? I'm terrible at it. I find this really hard. But I didn't have to play it. I just had to tell the kids to play it, so it wasn't so horrible. And they like that they recognize the music. We won't do the whole thing. There we go. So you get a sense of it. It goes really fast. But Musician has a few others. And again, these are all rhythmic. I know that I have used some similar things with my younger kids doing different classroom instruments. And I did try to keep things as similar as possible, but all their videos are just that little bit different, which is why I have the menu on the side so they know what to do. And they play it like it becomes something that they really enjoy doing. We do the exercises at the beginning, and then they get a chance to do this. One of the things that we didn't get a chance to do because just because of how things felt is that I really wanted them to create rhythmic patterns, rhythmic ostinatos, or rhythmic patterns on their cups for familiar songs. And I'm hoping with my grade 4s that we will get to that point, because they're sort of further along in their rhythmic development now than I feel like my 5s are at the beginning of the year. The beginning of the year, everything was so unsure, and no one really felt like their feet were stable on the ground. And now I feel like it's a little bit different. I feel like the kids can move further along. So yeah, that's cup drumming. I think that's, oh, I have one more thing. Do I have time to talk about one more thing? So the last thing I wanted to share with you is something that I love doing. I've done it the past few years that I've taught music with my grade 3s, and it goes back to the 16th note rhythms, skipping rhymes and skipping rhythms. And we have lots of different skipping rhymes that we use that have those rhythmic patterns. And then I often had to teach the kids how to long rote skip. A lot of them are not skipping until we start doing this. This year, the grade 3 teacher is all on board. She teaches her own phys ed. So she and I are going to be working together, working and teaching them skipping, and then having them do the rhymes. So the rhythmic part, we will learn the rhymes, but we will also, be analyzing the rhythm of the rhymes, but they'll be using those skipping rhymes to actually skip. And the skip is keeping the steady beat. If they can skip to a rhyme, that they have that steady beat really internalized. So that is one more thing. And I guess I didn't link it. I didn't do a very good job of linking, but I do have like a little full file of some skipping rhymes. I don't think I know where they are though. I don't think I know where they are off the top of my head.
But they'll be there when, so that they can look them up, right?
They will. And actually, as I'm talking, and you can see on the screen, I am, there it is.
Yeah.
It's not really finished because I wasn't sure what I wanted to, how much you can see my lovely picture. This file started in the spring because again, the phys ed teacher at that time and I were like, what can we do to get kids out and active? So the whole first part of this file is about like, how do you skip? And I think I'm going to get rid of that part. But we have lots of skipping songs and rhymes, and they use the 16th note rhythms that the grade 3s, this one doesn't, but it's a good skipping rhyme. It's a good one. And we talk about different sort of skipping sort of skills you can do. Yeah, this one's a fun one. That we've been using a lot of these rhymes already in class. And yeah, and so they're nice and familiar. And then again, this was a remote thing. So asking kids to like videotape themselves skipping, learning new tricks. That was for remote learning, but I think this is something that you could have a lot of fun with your class. It's always been a big hit when I've taught grade 3. Okay, I think I've got everything.
And maybe.
Go ahead, Jane. You're muted, my friend Jane. Yep.
The Aga Khan, maybe just make the connection to you were so excited about that.
Yes. Oh, hold on. Yeah. So whoops. Sorry. I almost left the meeting. Just give it.
No.
Yeah. I'm trying to get back to where I was. Oh.
Well, this has been great. So you just take your time to find this. So
okay.
You're sharing
there we go.
Sources with us, is that?
Yeah, so this one of the things that I did is I decided to go through some of OMEA's resources, and I know, Jane, you were thinking about looking at some of the resources too, and I thought which ones would be really accessible and use rhythm. And the Aga Khan Museum Music Initiative, the lessons are so wonderful. I have used some of these lessons in the past, and they're so beautifully put together. So some of the ones that would be really wonderful to use in the 3 to 5 band, there's one called Instruments of the Middle East, and it explores the different string instruments, and they create soundscapes based on things that they're listening to. There's another one with exploring timbre. So and it's also using different Arabic rhythmic patterns, which I think is absolutely lovely. And then the Aga Khan Park musical expression, I was very excited about this one. So it's about sort of creating and echoing patterns. Now it does talk about melodic maps, but I would just take the rest of it to use, and it's like creating soundscapes based on garden sounds, and it's also a little bit about reflection, the idea of reflection. So it's a wonderful resource.
That's great to know, because we have a large big connection to our Indigenous population in our board. We have Kettle and Stony Point First Nation, Aamjinan, Bikajnawan, and give me a second, Delaware, and I'm learning how to say their nation in their Lenape language. So we're very cautious about making sure we're including things appropriately in our music classes and our drama classes and our art classes. So making sure we're appreciating the culture and not appropriating. So this is a great extension to that too. So, you know, that inclusive nature and equity working towards.
Yeah.
This has been great. So we're going to open up the mic if anybody has questions for things, and we will share. This is being recorded. I'm hoping Rod's got it's in the background, is going well. I could still see the red button recording, so that's good. And so we'll be able to share this beyond our audience today, and we'll share the resources too. But I know there was a comment there about using the cups. There was some good advice from Val talking about how to handle those cups and do that. So if anyone has any questions, you can pull them up. You can come off mic if you'd like, or put them in the chat.
Thank you, Lisa.
Well, look at that. You're sparking people to be excited about this class tomorrow. So that's great. And I've enjoyed both you and Jane have a way of making things accessible for me as an educator to feel like I can do these things with the class. And I keep telling myself, like, you know, music takes practice. And so we need to give time for practice.
Yeah.
Hi, Val. How are you?
Good. Another thing with the cups is that because I've used them for multiple years, I just went ahead and purchased a class set of the hard plastic ones. And so it's a little bit more environmentally friendly and it's easy to clean. So when I change a cohort, I can easily clean them properly. And
absolutely. I'm wondering how many schools have their stacking cups. Like, remember how we used to?
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
I mean, like commandeering those, because many of our educators do a little bit of music, a little bit of phys ed. Blur the lines there.
I've also done basketballs. Like High School Musical.
Yeah.
That can be fun. A little bit hard to make sure all those balls are filled up and bounceable, but
yeah, well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that idea. Oh, we have a question about the French options to the resource. So Jane, you and I have been conversing about that. Oh, you're muted again.
You're still muted.
Yeah.
Got it.
There she is.
Can't even see anything right now. So yes, on our website, at one point, one of the things we did, all of these public elementary resources, we paid someone one summer to do some French versions of the handout part, the Black Line Masters. So there are a whole lot of French resources that way. And then each year at our workshops, at our conference, there is something that is about French and music. I would say every conference there has been at least one, if not multiple. And so those are available to you as well as a member to be able to pick those up. And it is an area that we are still working hard in. And if anyone's got some resources that they'd like to share, we would love to hear from you. And we could share those with other teachers and put them on our website. So if you've got some more things, but you can go to the website and search for French resources, and you should find a few that are public, and then there will be some that are hidden as members. And maybe you know a member at Lambton Camp.
We were also, Angela Cote, our French consultant, I was asking her this question. She joined us on Monday too. And even though a resource may be, the words may be in English, and kids may be hearing the music using any language, it's the conversation pieces that we want to have kids engage in the French when they're responding to it as well. So
also, if I could, sorry, Jane. All I was going to say is that for anything that's just like a rhyme, like the Dr. Foster rhyme, that's just a little nursery rhyme. And I think I'm not a French teacher. I'm not French first language or anything like that. But I would imagine that substituting any of those rhymes with a French rhyme or a French nursery rhyme, still use the lessons in the same way. You just choose a different, you'll
know by the sound of it, like the piece. And Jane, did you say your organization has a Facebook page as well?
Yes. And that is where all kinds of teachers, it doesn't funnel through our website. It is just a page for people to ask questions. And it has been amazing. Like people with lots of experience go on there and say, hey, I need a lesson about, and lo and behold, 15 ideas pop up. Yeah. So what I was going to say to you, Pam, as well, with your French consultant, if you actually came up with some questions that were general French questions at the appropriate level, we'd love to share those on our website.
Okay.
Here's a way you can take the ideas from this lesson. Here are some French starters, story starters, or French questions that you can ask and have the children converse in French at the level where they are. We'd love to see that.
Okay, and we'll probably be tasking some of our educators out there too to voice in as well. That's awesome.
Love it.
We'll work on that. So no, we've just got some thank yous in the chat. So if anyone else has questions to it, but Lisa and Jane, I'm very excited we made this partnership, and I'm looking forward to what we're exploring tomorrow with a little bit older group. So Lisa, you're the one that's sharing some ideas tomorrow as well?
Yeah, I am.
And it will be different content, right? So if a couple of people have been, I saw them on Monday, so they're here today. So I'm thinking maybe we might have some repeat visitors tomorrow. So they'll be guaranteed will be new things.
Yeah, it's very different because I would do different things with the older kids. So yes.
That's awesome. And Lisa, you're going to share your resources that you created for this?
Yeah, actually this here, the plan is to make it like a PDF, a linked PDF. So everything would be linked to, this stuff.
Yeah, the World Wide Web. Yes. Yeah. So if you share that with me, and that's what I'll be adding to our blog post. So we'll be sharing that out, and we'll be having a recording of this session available for people to watch too. So this is great. So Rod, I see you came back on camera. Are you liking music a little bit more?
I'm learning. Like there's a huge gap in my understanding of music. I find myself, I'm looking up timbre. Like I never pronounced that word correctly.
Oh, most people call it timbre. I know. Yes. I know. I've actually had children argue with me.
The way you pronounce it is the way Wikipedia agrees with you. So
you must be right.
Exactly.
There's a whole bunch of stuff here that's it's just tremendous. I've coached many years a volleyball team, and my team insisted on doing these rhythms at the end of tournaments, where each player would make a different layer and beat.
Yeah,
I have some videos that are just tremendous, but for the life of me, I don't know how the heck they did it. They must have had some good music teachers at some point down.
And Lisa, on your page, that's funny because timbre changed to timber, and I know it does that on you. And it happens to be all the time with my broad.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had kids argue with me and say it's timber, and I've had to say no. And then I said, and grown-ups will say timber, and they will be wrong. So then they learn it. They know how to say it right because they want to be the right one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. We'll see you ladies tomorrow with a 4:30 start time. So Lisa, you did quite well in our Zoom environment. Thank you for being willing to learn that with us. And Ross will be back here tomorrow. So thank you everybody for the last part of the day with us. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And for having us.